This is Trailrider VR. I built it because while I like extreme sports, I don't like extreme injuries.
Impressive. Very nice.
Trailrider VR is an immersive bike simulator designed for responsive downhill riding. It's budget-friendly and built using off-the-shelf components. It also gives you full control over biking games, just like a standard gamepad. What makes Trailrider seamless is that it emulates a normal gamepad. This means that it can run with any biking game or simulator as long as you're wearing a VR headset. Trailrider uses VR tracking to measure the angle of your handlebars, and it feels just like riding a bike. For use with descenders, I also built a mod to reduce the notoriously delayed steering inputs. Calibrating the steering is as simple as straightening the handlebars and pressing both grip buttons at the same time. Trailrider detects your pedaling effort by measuring the speed of your pedals and of your back wheel. You can tweak the pedaling difficulty by shifting gears or by adjusting some parameters in the application. Because Trailrider uses VR controllers to track the handlebars, we can map the buttons on the controllers in order to mirror a gamepad. When you want to do tricks, you can use the joysticks exactly as you normally would. When you want to slow down, the left trigger works as the brake. When you're done riding, navigating menus is seamless. I experimented with using gesture controls based on headset tracking. I was able to use these to do flips or to lean left and right on the in-game bike. While this was insanely cool, I found that I normally moved my head too much during normal gameplay, and I would often trigger these gestures by mistake. For those interested in how I built the simulator, I'll cover that now. If you just want to see some more gameplay, feel free to jump ahead to the end. The build features three main components. One for providing pedaling resistance, another for detecting pedaling effort, and a third for reading handlebar controls. I'll put links to what I used in the description. For pedaling resistance, I used a bike trainer. These can often be found on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace for less than $100. The bike trainer essentially just slows down the back wheel as if you were riding outside. The faster the wheel spins, the more resistance the trainer provides. To detect pedaling effort, I needed a reliable motion tracker with an internal battery and a wireless interface. SlimeVR trackers worked great, especially with the Bluetooth dongle. The trackers come with a snap-in mount, which made it simple to secure them to the bike. I attached one to the back wheel using zip ties, and another to the left pedal with double-sided tape. This also means that you can easily remove the trackers if you want to ride your bike outside. To track the handlebars, we first need them to move freely. You can do this just by loosening your bike's front fork. In order to mount my VR controllers to the handlebars, I repurposed an extra gun stock. This worked nicely because the gun stock tubes fit perfectly into my bike. Unfortunately, I had to glue the tubes into place, which was the only permanent modification. I hope to find a more temporary solution, but I wanted my first build to be rock solid. The only other parts are the controller mounts and controller cups. These all snap together nicely, and the mounts are adjustable. First, we need to read the controller and headset poses and the button inputs. I did this using SteamVR. Once we have these poses, we can use them to measure the handlebar angle. When you turn a bicycle's handlebars, you're really making two motions with your hands, which can be separated and measured independently. The first motion is the controller turning in place. The rotation is equal to the handlebar angle, so we can just measure the average of the two controller rotations. The second motion is the controllers moving relative to the bike's fork. We can measure how far the controllers move from the straight position and use trigonometry to get the handlebar angle. We then combine the first and second motions for more accuracy. For pedal tracking, we're using SlimeVR sensors. All I needed from these trackers was their orientation, so I built a simple driver to access this data directly. With the orientation, I can calculate the RPM and acceleration of both the pedals and of the back wheel. With the RPM and acceleration, I can detect when the player is pedaling. If the pedals are moving and the back wheel is accelerating, the player is starting to pedal. If the pedals and the back wheel are moving at high speeds, the player is in sustained pedaling. With that, we have all the data we need to send our control signal to the game. We map the inputs to a virtual gamepad and use software to emulate an Xbox controller.
It's time to play the game.
That's all the technical details for this video. If you're interested in learning more about this project, let me know in the comments below. You can reach out in the Flat to VR Discord, where my handle is WonkyCom. If I get enough interest, I'll open source the software and make a more in-depth build guide. I've also taken over from Hollid as the maintainer of the Descenders VR mod. Everything I used for this project is in the description. Thanks to everyone who helped out with this project. See See you next time.